Isn't this like the perfect music for this heat wave that we're getting in Toronto today and
Oh
tomorrow? Like, ready
yeah.
to,
It's been
this.
beautiful for like a week now. It's been or 2 weeks now, probably. I was just funny. My daughter and I were going to Canadian Tire last night, and she's like, "When's the last time it rained, Dad?" I said, "Oh my gosh, like I can't even remember because my front yard's brown. Like it's tumbleweeds and it's bad. Like, don't get me wrong, I have to cut the grass every 2 weeks now instead of every week, so I'm good with that. But yeah, it's awesome, awesome out there.
I love that
I
question that you
think
just said that because I thought about it too. When is the last time it really rained? And I think it's when we were getting our backyard done because it was a day
yeah,
that the contractor couldn't come. So, hey, man, let's enjoy this, man. What is it? The May shower? Was it April showers bring May flowers?
brings
Let's,
May flowers. Yeah,
there we
yeah,
go. There
yeah.
we go.
But
There
you
we
know what,
go.
buddy? You just got your backyard done. You don't want it to rain because you're out probably out there
Ah,
all the time.
it's the best, and
Yeah,
it's one of the coolest things to kind of enjoy your house as you kind of if you're a new person enjoying your new house or if it's some kind of upgrades. I know you did your pool and all that fun stuff a couple years ago, so being able to enjoy your space is one of the coolest things.
yeah.
So let's get into today's video, and then we'll got some pretty cool stuff for everybody today.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
Right. I love the title, Dan. Like Mel Robbins and Mark Cuban. It's not going to be geographicality. That's their number one
Buddy,
advice. Not
that's trending now. Did you see that? That the
is it?
hashtag geographicality. It's funny because I had lunch yesterday with with a friend, and I was telling him about here's how I see the industry, and I said it's going from seasonality to geographicality, and neither of them. I was with two gentlemen. Neither of them flinched. They're like, "Yeah, it's true," and I'm like, and I'm gonna say. I'm gonna start you. But it like when you think about it. Anyways, I know I'm not. I'm not.
No, it's
Yeah.
cool. You know what? I love that kind of like deadpan because like I just started watching Impractical Jokers, and we're getting off topic here. We'll get back on track,
So
guys. But
cool.
I love Jokers just to kind of see the stuff that they do that keep people with a straight face, and you're like, oh my god, it's a good practice too. It's a good ad lib to do. So I love that you brought that up in your meeting. And will there be another meeting, or did they cancel?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Are
yeah,
they
yeah.
booked
No,
for the
no, no,
rest of
no.
the
It's
year?
all good. It's golden, brother. It's golden. It's actually turned out really well. And you know what? Impractical Jokers is one of my favorite shows. I don't know if I ever told you that,
Oh
but
really?
those guys, especially Joe, like I love Joe and Murr. The two of them, like I mean, they're all really good. Like Sal and Q, they're all really good. But some of the things that they do and say, it's like, okay, so, and for all those of you who watch it, I'm sure, but I'm dying to put stuff or take stuff out of people's carts at the grocery store. And until COVID, it was like one of these things where like, am I gonna get the balls to do it? Because you gotta
Yeah.
think, right? I mean, now that COVID hit, everybody's I don't know about you, but I find everybody's like cautiously avoiding everybody. So I
Yeah.
think it would be almost like a fight if I went and pulled something out of
Yeah,
somebody's
I think you
cart.
gotta know your area too, like your demographics, right? So you
These
gotta like
guys are
even
in New
from your
York.
yeah, yeah, it's I love it. By the way, everyone shout out to Anthony this morning. Like I love Impractical Jokers. I think it's amazing. I only got into it maybe like 2 weeks ago because I saw you know what? Let's talk about that a little bit because you talk about marketing strategy, Dan, and we're going a little bit off topic here, but what I think is really cool
So
is I saw small clips on TikTok about Impractical Jokers. So those were 30 to 60-second clips. And I'm like, holy crap, this is so funny. Let me actually check out a show. So when you're kind of doing your
really,
brand strategy, yeah, that's how I got into it. I never knew about these guys. I always saw it on like
oh.
OLN, Ontario, no, Outdoor Life Network or whatever it is, but
Yeah,
never
well,
watched
and
that
yeah,
channel. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of boring. So I never checked it out until, like I said, I saw it on TikTok and I was like, I saw one and then I went to the rabbit hole. And I was like, oh my God, these guys are hilarious. So that was like a little trailer to like get me to a show. And just like with products, we see that so blatant. We see that with like movie trailers and everything like that. That's so cool to kind of see it happening.
I love the fact that you just watched. So it's two things, right? It leads right into your video today because you were saying I watched the shorts then, and it's like right punchy to the point, and that you watch that on a 30-second TikTok clip to get and find one of the funniest shows that have ever been created. Like it is crazy how you and some of them, Ryan. I don't know if you've started to binge watch them yet, but
Not yet.
like
Not yet.
literally you're in tears laughing at what these guys are doing, right? Like some of the stuff that they
I
make
love the socially
each other
awkward
do.
ones too. I like the way with people like in a room. Like I think I saw one where they're in a dentist room and they had to like make the other guys crack, and just like the things that they were doing. So just like important to everybody out there, you just if you're somebody who wants to be a creator, because everyone always wants to talk negatively about it, but just remember, like your product or your videos, somebody's gonna stumble on something that maybe you made like a year ago, 2 years ago, a couple months ago. So ensure that the information that you're making or the content that you're creating, that it can live through time. Don't maybe do like current events and things like that. But there's a niche for everything, right? But today is Personal Development Day, Dan. Something that you and I have coined, which we're having a lot of fun with. Which basically the concept here, if you're brand new, is that we show 2 clips, completely random, that we've selected our own, and then we kind of get your thoughts from the audience, and then we talk about our thoughts as well. So Dan, 2 choices.
Hold on, did you see Anthony's quote here? Me too,
Yep.
LOL. I once nosed 31 people at a concert because of that show. That I don't know if you know what that means. So Joe, because he has a big nose on Impractical Jokers, they say when he's talking to people, he has to actually put his nose on them as he's talking to them. And Anthony did it to 31 people at a concert. Way to go, brother. That is
I was just gonna say, is
awesome.
there a warrant out for his arrest, or are we gonna be a part of that? So
that is
pretty
hilarious. Cool. He actually knows 31 people. That is awesome. Like
see, there we go. Impractical sales chatter. Deno, what do you want to go with? You want to go with yours? Go with mine? What's up?
Go with yours. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to preface this. This is a clip by Mel Robbins. So I only came across Mel Robbins like a couple weeks ago, and I was pleasantly surprised to understand that she's not related to Tony Robbins in any way at all. So maybe that's the reason why I didn't follow or anything like that, because I thought it'd be the same thing. So anyways, I'm just going to play the clip, and then we'll get our thoughts. Let's go.
Heard about this thing called the let them theory. I freaking love this. If your friends are not inviting you out to brunch this weekend, let them. If the person that you're really attracted to is not interested in a commitment, let them. If your kids do not want to get up and go to that thing with you this week, let them. So much time and energy is wasted on forcing other people to match our expectations. And the truth is, if somebody, especially somebody you're dating or who's a friend or somebody you're trying to partner with in business, if they are not showing up how you need them to show up, do not try to force them to change. Let them be themselves, because they are revealing who they are to you. Just let them. And then you get to choose what you do next.
Ooh, 5 fingers to the face. Thoughts, brother? Let's start with you.
That actually just put a lot of things into perspective that are happening right now. And then I love the fact that you get to choose what you do next. Wow, that's actually really good. Really good. What a great lesson. How much time do we spend trying to convince people to do something they don't want to do?
Yep.
Like, it almost feels like sales is convincing people to do something they don't want to do right away, right? Like, let them. Some will, some won't. So what? Right? God, that was really good, Ryan.
Oh, thanks, brother. So my big takeaways from that is I always like to give this back like to logistics and what we kind of do. So the first thought that came to me, Dan, was prospecting. If a customer says that they were supposed to get you rates back or get you feedback by this week, or they've canceled meetings on you, or they're just not picking up and you're not seeing that kind of give or take, obviously you're going to be giving a lot more at the beginning because you got to kind of convince them, right? But if you feel, hey, we've been talking every 2 weeks, we've been going like for the past like 6 months, kind of like a relationship, nothing has come, no quotes or anything like that, let them. Understand that this is something's going on in their life, but don't kind of put that expectations, especially when you're talking to your managers too, right? Because that's where I feel like we kind of put too much on a pedestal with prospects when we're like, "Ooh, this is a hot lead. I'm going to close them in 3 months." And then 3 months happen, your boss is asking you, "Hey, what's happening here?" But
what about
you
that really
didn't understand
hot
their
lead?
Yeah, hot leads, man. There's no such thing, right? And what, just like Jeb said, Dan, when he was on our show, when he says, there's no leaky pipeline. It's just no pipeline. Like nothing leaks. If you don't have a pipeline, you don't have a pipeline. And I think when I look at that, there's two things. Like I said, it comes back to logistics when I go to prospects, your customers, your ops teams, your carriers that you're using. Not necessarily let them do what they want, because I feel like there's a big difference between that and be nonchalant. Like it's like, hey, my carrier says, hey, I'm just going to pick up at 2 p.m. instead of 10 a.m. Let them? No. We're going to have a discussion about that. But understanding that for me as a rep, I got to serve my people to a highest power. So I get to react to that way. Right. So if they say they're going to be late on a pickup, exactly.
Respond.
Yeah. Sorry, my point. Respond. Sorry. So understand that, hey, if they're going to mess around with pickup times or delivery times or something like that, understand that and then let them know that, hey, there's a consequence for those actions. So I look at that. I look at my relationship as well with my wife. And I think about that too. I think the mindset that we always kind of have is that, you got to have hobbies together. Like you do everything together. And what's worked for me, Dan, in my relationship and reading about and learning as well is we have our separate lives. And my responsibility as a husband, as a son, as a brother is not to make you happy. No, your happiness comes from within and you got to make yourself happy. So if two happy people come together, it's just vibes, right? But if you're expecting, hey, I need to be happy for this person to kind of convince them, like you said, right? Like, let's say your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your partner, whatever, is having a bad day and you got to convince them, hey, let's go to the mall, or let's take the dogs to the walk. In your mind that they're going to feel a lot better. But if they're just not in that mental capacity or that mental state to accept or receive those blessings, then you just gotta let them, and it comes with a price. So I really enjoy this clip and looking forward to seeing more from Mel.
Here's something that I think sums it up. Right, what Lisa said. She loves what she said about energy spent. And when you think about that for a second, how many days have you ended the day going, oh, I'm so exhausted. I'm so exhausted. And if you were to stop and go back through that day, how many times would you be trying to convince your teammates, managers, friends, spouses, colleagues, whatever, prospects, customers, of stuff they have no interest in? Gary Vee said it great. He says, listen, I'll never try and convince you that you need whatever I'm trying to sell. You either need it or you don't. Right? I'll never convince you. And Ryan, this whole energy thing and having energy at the end of the day, I used to come home at the end of the day zonked. Just zonked. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to play with my kids. I didn't want to make dinner. I didn't want to chat. Nothing. And it was because of the amount of energy wasted trying to convince somebody that they needed or wanted my service that they never even needed or wanted. And this is where customer profiles came up, is because I said, how am I going to figure out without feeling like I'm a loser, without the no's hurting me, because I believed in my product and service. I believe in what I could do for people. Without a shadow of a doubt, there's nothing, I know I can help. And I took that approach with every prospect. And it was hurtful because I'd come home at the end of the day with my, ego, my confidence, everything shattered because of all the no's. And I said, how am I going to figure this out where I don't? And I put in customer profiling into effect. And then I started to look at customer profiling, figuring out, how do I ask the questions to find out if this person's a match? And I'll tell you, that energy that Mel Robbins was talking about, to not having to convince him, it was awesome. It's like Jeff said, what works for one does not work for all. And it's so right. And when we understand that in sales, it becomes fun. And I know a lot of you out there going what? Cold calls fun? They're fun. Because it's how could I figure out if Ryan's interested in my service right away? And then I start trying to do it in 20 seconds and 15 seconds. And it's like a game, right? Exactly. And when you gamify things, this comes straight from Chad, Lisa's hubby. He always talks, he goes, Dan, I try and gamify everything because I love games. I love video games. If you gamify it, it becomes, your entire day becomes joyful. You're like, shit, I lost that round. I'm going to have to respawn for the next call. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you just gamify it. but that whole energy thing of, okay, let it go. I mean, obviously, like you said, a carrier says I'm picking up at 10, or 2 instead of 10. You have the conversation, you respond to the situation, but now you're in control of your very next choice, right? Just like Rico says, your next choice would be not to use them again or to use them again, because now you have an understanding, right?
Well, Jeff says it all the time too.
Go for it. What?
Yeah. Jeff says it all the time. Carriers don't. He doesn't fire carriers; they kind of fire themselves. And we're not trying to make this a thing, but it's just you look at both sides of it, right? And I love to bring back to the family analogy, right? Like you're talking about you and your daughter went to Canadian Tire to do different things, and if your daughter was like, "Hey, I don't want to hang out with you guys in the pool this weekend," let them. Your ego might be a little. Just let people be who they are and control the controllables, like Lisa did. So I thought it was a great clip. I thoroughly enjoy something like that, and I'm actually going to put this into action. So anytime a lunch gets canceled or a dinner gets canceled or something like that, or, sometimes when we plan something so far in advance, and this has happened to me, I know I'm not the first and I'm not the last. So it's happened to a lot of people listening here. Like, hey, I got this prospect on the phone. We book a meeting. Hey, let's just put something on the calendar as a placeholder. And it's like a month or two away. That 15-minute alert comes up where it's like, hey, your meeting's in 50 minutes. Oh, shoot, I got to cancel. Everything's on my plate. A lot of people, you choose how you want to respond to that, right? So understand that, hey, if there's a cancellation, I like I said, I'm not the first and last. I'm dealing with that right now. So just understand from there. So Dan, can you give a little bit? Is anything you want to preface by going into your clip today, or just let it rip?
Actually, can I just?
Yeah.
I want to go back to something you said, if you don't mind.
Of course.
I think this is a very good point, because this is something I used to say to DJ all the time. How is it being implemented? So, where you said, okay, I'm going to start doing this. What we should probably do is, why don't next Thursday we start the show with talking about what we implemented based on these shows. So how did you implement, let them, and what did you find? What was the difference? What was like the before and after? And maybe just take 5 minutes at the beginning of next week's show, because Mark Cuban's clip that's coming up, to me, it's deep. And to me, it's what we've always talked about. And it's like, this isn't just two guys going live and recording a podcast and preaching. This is reality. This is how it all comes together. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is everything, right? Play the clip. And then what do you think about that? Maybe just take
First of all, I love that.
Yeah, okay.
I love that. I think let's rip. And then for the audience as well, we'll challenge you guys as well. Like maybe two key takeaways, and we'll create an email, shoot us an email and stuff like that with like your takeaways. We'll read it on air, and let's actually grow this community to like a community that grows together. Right. So it's just like you said, not two guys just preaching. It's just interactive things like that. And hey, Jeff's in the comments as well. I challenge you, Jeff, maybe on your show. I know you're coming on tomorrow, but maybe on your show, give us your thoughts on something like that. So let's let it rip. Mark Cuban, for people who don't know, the general manager and the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, the NBA team. I believe they won in 2016, which amazing run. And he's often on Shark Tank. So great guy. Let's get into it.
If you try to be a better salesperson than everybody, if you try to be better prepared than everybody, you've got your best chance. Because if you don't do it and somebody else does, I have the saying, work like someone's trying to take it all away from you. I actually work like someone's spending 24 hours, working 24 hours to take it all away from you. And that's kind of the way I look at it.
What would you say is the number one reason why people fail?
Lack of brains, lack of effort.
Lack of brains, lack of effort.
Yeah, they don't do the work. They don't learn, when you walk in the room, when you start a business and you start to talk about somebody, you're never in a vacuum with no competition, unless you're just extremely lucky. And if there's going to be competition, that means somebody else knows your business as well as you do when you get started. And if you walk into a competitive environment and they still know more about the business than you do and more about your customers, you're going to lose. But most people don't consider that. They don't do the work. They don't learn more about their industry. They don't know even about their business. And so you've got to put in the effort to know more about your industry than anybody else. And that's the brains part, and that's the effort part as well. Because look, if you're competing with me, you better know what you're doing. Otherwise, I'm going to kick your ass. And you're not going to outwork me. And so, the combination is usually what kills businesses early on more than anything.
You could, within a 5-10 minute interview, say, this dude's not going to make it as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, I can typically tell, right? I can tell but by their passion. I can tell by their focus. I can tell by their preparation. You know, there's a whole realm of things in any business. Here, you know, here's the business you're in, and here's 1,000 things that influence whether or not you're going to be successful. You know, through my experience in businesses, I can put myself in his position and say, okay, here are 900 of the 1,000 things he has to be aware of, and then go through and ask. And by how many of those are her issues they.
There we go. So, I mean, to me, that's everything. You know, Lisa says knowledge is power. It is. And you know, Ryan, it's funny because when I was choosing the clip, I said, this is the essence of sales chatter, right? Like if you look at what sales chatter is, the process, the style in which we came up and the style in which it started to what it is now, there's a process, right? So like Monday's training day, Tuesday's a guest, Wednesday's data day. So you get a training, then the kind of concepts that a guest will bring in, and we've got traffic managers coming on next week and stuff. And so like now we're getting into the heads of the people we speak to every day. Dean comes on Wednesdays and shows us and shares all this amazing data. And for a lot of you, it might be like, oh my God, how do I? But that's why Ryan and I try and share with you, how do we use this data to sell? How do we, like yesterday at my lunch, we talked about data for about 30 minutes and how salespeople in the industry need to know the industry, and how we know people in the industry that are like in management positions, they're so disconnected from the industry. Do you know what I mean? And they're not, and it's true, and it's rampant. And it's like, and then we get to Thursdays and it's like, okay, you got all this data about that, but how do we learn on the personal development side how to keep moving forward and different things like let it be and like, you know, let them and all these. And then you get into Friday and it's just like, right? Like, and I'm watching and I'm listening. This was actually like a 19-minute video. And I'm listening to Mark Cuban and I'm like, holy crap, this is how I made it. Like I just kept, and there's another part in the clip where he says, imagine if, no, it was a Kobe Bryant clip where he says, you know, if you practice 2 hours a day and your competition is practicing 4 hours a week, he goes, at the end of a year or 2 years, you think of how far you're going to be ahead. And how many times have I told you, Ryan, literally 12 to 24 months can change your life. If you study, if you consistently engage in higher education, whatever that means in your books. Like, is it higher education on your geographicality? Is it higher? You see, I threw that in there. You didn't even see it. higher education.
I hate you.
I made Ryan swear. We are marking that down. The logistics monk just broke. So it's like, you know, like your customers, the product, your commodity, your niche, like all of these things are consistent education. Are you waking up every morning and Googling the latest trends and what's happening and taking courses? Like he even said, you know, like as an entrepreneur, Mark Cuban goes on and goes, as an entrepreneur, like, why are you not taking an accounting course to know? Yeah, sure, you can hire somebody, but you need to know. And I'll tell you one thing for me, when I first got into business, I did zero learning. We built Teamwork from 0 to just about 30 million in 3 years. And I'll tell you one thing, I allowed my accountant to do everything, trusted my accountant because I was under this impression that when you surround yourself with good people, I don't need to know about accounting. And when it was all said and done, I was in the hottest of hot water with the CRA. Like I owed tens of thousands of dollars. And I'm like, what do you mean? No, my accountant. They're like, did you sign this? And I said, yeah. And I said, so in the end, you're responsible. And he messed everything up. Everything. For probably 6 years after, I was paying back the CRA debt. No, didn't have the company, completely dissolved, had to pay, you know, like trying to get back into the industry and having to pay a massive CRA debt. Massive. And all because I didn't understand the bookkeeping side.
Yeah.
So now I understand it. Do you know what I mean? Like in your business, if you look at when you first started selling, your method, your processes to what you do now, it's different, brother. But now you're running 300 times more business at 300% less stress. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I love the stress part you thought about it. So a couple of big takeaways. Hopefully you and the CRA are fine. I had a call with them last week
yeah.
about
We're all
that.
good.
And I was like,
No,
you guys
we're
are
talking,
homies now.
we're talking 2009, brother.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
good.
So Dan's not on a wanted list or anything like that. But
No.
I think, well, first and foremost, this brings up. I always feel like everything happens for a reason. I always talk about that. So this morning, I was actually invited to a grade 10 marketing class by a good friend, in my Toastmasters club, and basically in three groups of four. Four students put together a business plan. Of like three of their business that they want to create. One was a clothing business, one was a plant and sweets business, and the other one was a shoe cleaner business. And they put together proposals. They did market research. They actually had one of them actually had a product. Like they actually built a product for this. And with what I like about Mark Cuban that he talks about a lot is that he goes for it. He lives by what he does, because anytime I watch Shark Tank, and somebody's sales numbers are not there, or they wanted to delegate it, just like you're talking about with the accounting portion, he always says, go knock on some doors, go make sales. You got to be, everybody who knows any business that you're trying to be an entrepreneur, sales is what keeps you, unless you're a nonprofit, right? But even nonprofits still have to sell at the end of the day. But you have to sell. You have to put that hat on. And you talk about when I first got started in the industry, I always talk about that. There's no right ways about it. And I started my business just calling anybody, everybody, dial list, no train, all that stuff. But I was successful, Dan. I will always be an advocate where you can create your own business. But there's one thing that you said there, that you said 300% stress. I was stressed out to the max. I went on my first vacation with my girlfriend, now wife at the time, and went to Dominican. I was working by the pool side. I didn't want to work. I had to book loads. I had to do all this stuff, get back to people and things like that. And I told myself I didn't want to do that. I want the ease of life. Why am I working 24/7? If a carrier doesn't pick up, I gotta wake up at 2:00 to book a truck. Like, no, that's not. And for some people, like going like the agent round, stuff like that, that might be feasible. But have a plan in place. This is not sustainable for longer than a year or two. There is amazing people I see on LinkedIn. Everybody knows them, that are extremely successful, and they've built the life that works for them. But you look at guys like Alex Hormozy, who says that I don't take vacations. I like to work. I genuinely like to work. I wake up and I start working. For me, I like to take a little break. I got my dogs. I do different things. There's other facets of my life that I have. Sorry, let me put this way. There's other buckets in my life that come first that I have to fill, or at least get to halfway before I can kind of look at that big bucket. Right. So look at yourself, Dan. You got 2 kids. Lisa is a mom boss. She's big about her family, and she's big with like Cirilla drinks. She has to fill those cups first before she can kind of get in that mind space of going into there. So when he talks about the 900 to 1,000 things, I think about myself. What have I learned? Scripts, sequences, things that I could definitely fine tune myself. Like, I cringed, Dan, at all the emails I used to send back in the day, which was like, hello, I'm Ryan at ABC Company. We have 500 trucks in blah, 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 blah. And they were just copy and paste, right? Or I'll send you an intro pack is what we used to call them. Now, my biggest advice to anybody who's sending emails into an email marketing, my emails are 25 to 75 words.
Yeah,
simple, and I get 10x things. So I think when I kind of I look to try to relate both clips together, and we'll do reflection, like you said, next Thursday. But when I see Mark sharing the blueprint for everybody and being able to, you outwork everybody, there's only one thing you can control, and that's your effort, your outputs, your inputs. If people call you, or if you get sidetracked. Rico actually had a speech last night at Toastmasters where I talked about you change your passion for glory. And one of the points I made was that, you have those 2 choices in life, whether you're going to get closer or further away from your goals. And it's all up to you at the end of the day. Do what makes you happy.
And it's and maybe we'll take another section of that Mark Cuban clip for next week or something. But he goes on to say 2 things that are very important. He says outworking does not mean that I work 24/7. He goes, so when he bought the Mavs, he said the first thing we had to do was establish instant revenue.
Yep.
He goes, because they stopped doing seasons tickets. He goes, so when I came in, the first thing I did was ask for a list of old season ticket holders. And he goes, and I sat down, and the guy goes, you yourself? He goes, yes. He goes, but you're a billionaire. He goes, I don't care. I have to outwork my competition. He goes, so what I did is I sat down, and he personally called every single season ticket holder and said, listen, I want to offer you season tickets again. Are you interested? And that brought instant revenue into the Mavs, because like anything, you buy something, you want that revenue to come back as soon as possible. Now, if you buy an idea and a startup, there's a time. But if you go out and buy a sports team for, $3 billion or 300 million, whatever he spent on them, you kind of want some of that cash back right away.
Yep.
And he says, no, I sat there for 3 weeks and just made phone calls all day long. And he goes, but I outworked everyone.
Yep.
And he goes, I just called. Hey, it's Mark Cuban. I own the Mavs now. I'm not sure if you know, but you were a season ticket holder. And so think about it like this. How cool would that have been as a season ticket owner to have Mark Cuban call you? Right? Like,
it'd be amazing.
And
That touch, customer service.
Yeah.
So cool.
And then all the management, all the way down to the players. It filters down. All the players found. Oh, he made the phone calls to get, and all of a sudden they're coming in and stands are packed.
Yeah.
And he's like, but this is, and that's the work. That's the work we put in. Like, Jeb talks about the golden hours. We've said it many times. You can only make so many phone calls in a day. But if you're maxing out the phone calls you make and then you're plus oneing, right? Like Alex Hormozy says and Bob Berg says all the time, just one more call, one more email, one more DM. I've said it a million times, 12 to 24 months, your life is so different. So different.
And I think and I acknowledge all that stuff. And something you talked about here about like Mark Cuban, he was in software sales before, and then he sold his company. That's how he's basically a billionaire. He was. And one thing I tell logistics people, and everybody knows this for a fact, right? Like, hey, even if logistics is not 100, like you're not all in on logistics, but you can do a pretty good job of it, let it finance or bankroll like your passion. Everybody kind of knows what my passion is after I kind of get what I need to kind of get out of this industry, and me giving back as well. Just don't take, always give as well. But look at him as well. Like, he didn't become the Mavs owner right away, and it always comes back to sports too, because like you talk about outworking, everyone's saying, hey, it's not the 24 hours. There's only one team a year. We come back to the Giannis clip, right? But there's only one team in the NBA who could win, like the Mavs. Like Dirk, as Madison was meaning, like Dirk, he's retired now, and he's leading like Luka Doncic and like that, kind of going to the next generation. But it's just really important to understand where you want to go in life and how whatever vehicle that you're in right now, how is it going to get you to that destination?
Yeah. I thought that was my dog at first, but yeah, it's true. And you know what? With our business, with what we do, everyone can be a winner. Like, that's just the reality. So here you get a dog bark and I'm sneezing. Great.
Yeah.
Great show, everybody. Great show.
Maybe it's that time. Maybe it's that time.
Yeah. But it's so true. So true. And it's just that determination, that goal. Like, so for example, you look at, you said you got a higher purpose. You want that dog sanctuary. You want that's the big dream. And logistics is the stepping stones. You look at a guy like Gary Vee, right? VaynerX, VaynerMedia, all this stuff. His big goal is to buy the New York Jets.
Yeah.
Right. So all of these companies he owns is creating the wealth for him to reach that big goal of buying the New York Jets.
Yeah.
Right. But most people, they spend more time planning their vacation than they do their life. And in logistics, you have the ability to make a lot of money. And it's having that bigger goal, the bigger ambition that drives it. And that's really what's going to get you working for the next 2 years. And maybe tell yourself, for the next 2 years, I'm going to take one vacation a year and I'm just going to go to just all out. I'm going to design a business around my life that works for me, but allows me to put a high output of actual effort into it. And the highest output of effort will create the maximum return, right? It's cause and effect. Everything is cause and effect. You can have the best product in the world. If you don't market it and don't sell it, you ain't getting it, right? Like, think about it. The Mavs had a stadium. They had a basketball team. They had a list, and it stands were empty, right? So you go out and you sell. You put effort into selling seasons tickets, and now you create instant revenue because every game they come to, they're buying beers and merch and all. Like, there's still revenue to be had. So, anyways, I'm done.
Yeah, it's all good, man. You could have picked a better owner though. Like the maps have been pretty shit for the past couple of
Yeah,
years.
I
But
know.
yeah, I'm just joking with you. I know you're not a
But
basketball
Cuban, I
fan.
figured, you know what, you were doing your Shark Tank
Yes.
thing this morning. I'm like, oh yeah, he's gonna like this
Yeah,
one.
it's not perfect. I love it. I think Mark, I love watching Shark Tank, and I think for there. So normally what I do is ask you for your takeaways, but no, we're gonna do that next Thursday in a reflection piece for here. So this is Sales Chatter Live. Tomorrow, Dan is we're looking forward to it. We're celebrating 400 plus followers on our LinkedIn page, which we air live every single day. I'm putting
Are
you
we
on the
not up
spot
closer
here
to five
because
now? Are we not up closer to five
not
now?
yet, man, not yet. We're,
Oh,
we're
okay.
getting ahead of ourselves, man. We'll get there.
Ah.
New month though, new month, new goals. But Dan, I'm putting you on the spot here because we haven't talked about this yet. But what are we giving away tomorrow, man? What can people
So we
expect
are
to join
gonna
us tomorrow?
have some Bridger merch. We're gonna have some I'm all in merch for tomorrow. T-shirts to give away. So we're going to get those. I'm going to have some programs to give away, some sales training programs. I'm going to give away three copies of Inception, which is a $2,000 program, and then we're going to give away some shirts. So like the one Ryan's got on, and we got a couple other cool ones. Ones like the one that I have. Hashtag I'm all in. I think you have one too, don't you? Don't you have a white
Yeah,
one?
I got them. You hooked me up. You hooked me up. But in
Yeah.
top of that as well, we got Stacy joining us, who was here on Tuesday, and she's going to be giving away some women's women in trucking memberships. So
Yes.
tomorrow's, yeah,
And I
there she
missed
is. There's
Tuesday. I'm
Stacy.
looking forward
Yeah,
to it. Oh,
yeah, there she is,
did you
Stacy.
stop
So
in?
happy to come.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I missed her on Tuesday. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, she's awesome. She's so much fun. I love her. So she's gonna be there, and
Ooh.
then Cowboys join us as well. So I believe Cowboy will be giving away some stuff as well. So tomorrow, definitely join in. We'll create the event. So make sure we will invite everybody to show up because it is live. Because we can't give away giveaways on replays. So make sure you show up
Yes.
live tomorrow. Dan, how can people see this live tomorrow?
How could be what? Sorry.
How can they see this? Watch us live and participate in the.
So definitely on. I think we got both of our YouTube and our LinkedIn channels now. Sales Chatter Live. So go there. Oh, Ryan got the little thing up. That's boy. Go there, subscribe so you can get the little bells and notifications when we're on. And yeah, because you're gonna have to be able to chat back and forth with us in order to, and then obviously connect with us on probably LinkedIn, because then we're going to need like addresses and stuff to ship the merch to and all that kind of stuff. Or, you know, if Stacy's giving away memberships, and she's going to need your name and email and that kind of stuff, I assume. So be easy. Try and avoid probably for tomorrow the saleschatterlive.com homepage, where this show is streaming from, just because there's no way to chat back and forth with Restream. It doesn't connect.
So there we go. There's our link to our amazing LinkedIn page. So we'll hit the replay again at we'll hit it at 2:30 today. We always pick a different day, different time. Sorry. So hit it Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And if you found value in this, which I know you did, because those clips are awesome, and we'll make some posts with each clip individually. If you found value in them, please share them with your friend, your neighbor. Everybody's coming. All the contractors who are working so hard outside and they want a little. Let them. You know, let's say they're waiting too long in line at McDonald's. Let the workers cook, you know, let them enjoy that. So we're kind of happy to have these amazing weeks. And you know, tomorrow is going to be accumulation of Dan basically coming back, us hitting those milestones, because June 5th, and we'll make an announcement tomorrow. We've got some really, really cool stuff coming back to you guys.
Yeah.
So for the rest of the year. So it's going to be really, really cool. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy. Let's crush it.